What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and another video. So you may have seen in previous videos that we've tried out a few different prime lenses on the Fuji, and today's video is trying out another one. In previous videos I've tried out a 23mm, a 35mm and most recently the 56mm, which was from Viltrox. I must say I do quite like trying out new lenses. It just kind of freshens things up a little bit. Pop new lens on the camera, go out and see if there's anything different, see if it feels different, if you can get any nice shots. And in this video, as I'm sure you've seen in the title, I'm trying out another lens from Viltrox, but this time it's the 35mm F1.7. And if you've watched any other videos on the channel, you'll know that my go-to lens is the 35mm F2 from Fuji. I love that lens. It works pretty perfectly for me almost all the time. So looking forward to trying this thing out and just seeing how it compares and yeah, taking some photos, because I definitely haven't been doing enough of that lately. So just before I get into taking some photos, I just wanted to touch on the price, which I have wrote down here. The price of this 35mm f1.7 from Viltrox is $179, which is 199 euros, or roughly 165 pounds. Now the 35mm f2 from Fuji that I have, if you were to get in very good condition used, would be roughly between $250 and £300, or $320 to $380 roughly. And if you're thinking about the Fuji 35mm f1.4, then that's even more expensive again. So it's a decent difference between this Viltrox version and the Fuji options, particularly the 1.4 option, but it's nothing too crazy at the same time. Anyway, let's jump in and see what this thing can do. So unfortunately conditions weren't the best while I was trying this lens out, but I still managed to get a few shots that I quite liked. So again, the same as the 56mm Viltrox lens that I tried out, this lens has no aperture ring, which isn't really too much of a problem, to be honest. When I put this lens on the camera, the aperture changes to the little front dial here, which I normally have set to ISO, so now I just use the ISO dial on the top of the camera, which is pretty easy. It's probably a little bit slower. Changing aperture is maybe a little bit quicker, but changing ISO is probably a little bit slower just because you have to move your hand up to the dial. But for my type of shooting, it's not really a big deal unless you're really fast paced. I don't think it'll make too much difference. This lens, again, like the 56mm, is fully plastic, but the part that actually connects to the lens is metal, which is the most important part, so it means you shouldn't really have any issues with that. Which, if you happen to be new to photography, is good. That's the part that you want to be metal. The rest doesn't really matter too much, but that part you want to have metal, so it doesn't cause any problems down the line when you're constantly taking it on and off. This lens does have autofocus, which for me is a must. I do enjoy the process of using manual focus lenses with my film cameras, but with digital I do find it quite annoying. And many of the cheaper lenses offered by these third-party lens manufacturers are manual focus, and honestly after trying a few I'm not that interested in them, so this one having autofocus is pretty nice. When it comes to weather resistance with this thing, I'm honestly not sure. It hasn't been fully released yet. I'm pretty sure it's probably the same as the 56mm, which says that the front is weather resistant and the rest they don't claim is. I assume this is the front, so yeah. I would just recommend don't get this lens too wet or really wet at all if you can help it. Probably won't do too well. When it comes to image quality, I would say overall pretty damn good. The sharpness is pretty good. Not as sharp as the 35mm f2, but obviously I didn't expect that because it is extremely sharp and it's a more expensive lens. There is some noticeable vignetting wide open at f1.7 as you can see in these photos. And I think there is still a little bit around f2, f2.2 as you can see in this photo, but when you get up to like f4, f5.6 it seems to be pretty much completely gone. Soft corners, which can sometimes be a problem on cheaper lenses, it seems pretty good with this one to be honest. The corners are pretty sharp, as you can see from this example which is shot at f5.6. Now this photo was shot at ISO 2500 I think, so don't mind the little bit of noise in there which obviously affects sharpness a little bit, but besides that it looks pretty good I think. Again, this one's shot at f5.6, you can see the corners look pretty good. There isn't really much of a drop off at all, maybe ever so slightly, but it's quite hard to tell, so I'm pretty happy with that to be honest. Besides not having an aperture ring, I think everything else when it comes to this lens is pretty good, and I'd be pretty happy to use it for my general photography to be honest. The autofocus worked pretty well for me when I was taking those portraits and stuff. The sharpness I think looks pretty damn good, and there wasn't really any major issues that I noticed when using the lens or with the image quality from what I could see. Now, there's no doubt there'll be reviews on this lens that are way more technical than this one, and the people that do those reviews are great at what they do. But honestly, I think a lot of the times when you do too many tests on a lens and get too in-depth on things, first of all, it gets a little bit boring. But secondly, I think those things aren't really as noticeable when it comes to real-world scenarios, actually going out and shooting, looking at photos that aren't of a page or a pattern on a wall or something like that. So yeah, it's a pretty decent price, sharp images, good corner sharpness, and just a bit of vignetting at those lower apertures, but it's pretty good overall, I would say. So yeah, I think for my short time using this lens, I would have to recommend it, and I look forward to trying it out more, and I might do a video sort of directly comparing this with my Fuji lens. Not that I'll be getting too technical on things, but yeah, it might just be an interesting comparison, just usability and stuff. Let me know if you'd be interested. I'm going to stop blabbering now because these videos can just get a little bit boring. But yeah, fun little test. I look forward to using this one more, and hopefully if you're interested in a new lens, this was helpful in some way or other to you. If it was, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. maybe consider subscribing if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next video. But in all likelihood, that may well be in 2025, so happy Christmas, have a good one everyone, and happy new year if I don't have a video out before then. Look forward to some 2025 photography. And as we always say, take it easy, don't be a stranger.